Welcome back, friends. In our first week together, we were challenged to consider some of those noisy places in our lives where we might turn down the volume by reducing the input coming at us all day. For some of us, this might mean limiting how often we check our email or check the news. For others of us, this may mean giving up some aspect of added input in our lives, like the endless scrolling on our phones or the nonstop group chat that keeps us perpetually engaged. But do let me reiterate that none of these things by themselves are inherently wrong. It's only when they begin to take up too much space in our lives that we wander into unhealthy territory. And our purpose for placing parameters on the world's input is so we can fill that space with the truth and beauty of God's Word. So as we turn to this next week in our pursuit of finding sanctuary, some of you may be wondering, should I log off forever? Or is there a way to stay engaged in a healthy and life-giving way? How can I be sure that I'm not adding to the noise? The answers to these questions will, of course, vary from person to person. For me, there very well may come a day when I sense God leading me to log off forever. But until that time comes, here are some practical ways I am choosing to participate in certain online spaces with intention. To do this, I want to keep in mind what Jesus said were the two most important laws: to love God and love others. So how can we do those two things in an online context? First, let's examine the evolution of the screen, beginning with the big screen back in the early 1900s. To see a movie, we would have to leave our house and go to the theater and watch the actors on the big screen. Then came the small screen, the television. Now, most households had a TV screen in their living room. Today, of course, almost everyone has a micro screen in their back pocket, and we can take them with us anywhere. In addition to the extreme portable nature of these new micro screens, is the nature of who is on the screens. No longer is it the actors of Hollywood. Now we are the main characters in what has become the online reality show of our own lives. So when we're trying to figure out a healthy way for us to engage in online spaces, we must keep in mind this evolution from the big screen to the small screen to the micro screen, and how we have become the main characters. In this way, the online world has allowed us to turn our focus onto ourselves in a fairly intense way. And we never find peace by focusing on ourselves. It's only when we focus on Christ that we find true peace. Consider for a moment all the elements in that tabernacle sanctuary in the Old Testament. Every aspect of that sanctuary, from the gold lampstand to the bread of presence, all of it pointed to Christ, for He is our peace. And that is what I want my posts online to do. I want to point others to Christ and not myself. And I try to do this with photos that catch a glimpse of God's glorious creation. And I'll also share word posts that to me are inspiring in some way. So as we turn our attention to the second week in our 31-day journey, we'll continue to look at the greater context of that passage in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 11 through 12, because Paul doesn't tell us to seek to lead a quiet life and then stop there. He goes on to give us some examples of what this looks like. I won't spoil it for you, but as you are reading this week, ask yourself what you want to accomplish with the posts you share online, and invite God to lead you so that what you share points others to God. This is one way we can love God and love others. Until next week, my friends, shalom.